Hello everyone, this is Sean Ames. I'm here to tell you the small but significant story of the Dead City Orchestra. It was a band that only lasted literally a month and a half, but for everyone that was in the band, it was, from what I can gather, a really great experience. What had happened was is that in 2018 I had finished an album called The Last of My Kind. It was my second outing as a solo artist, doing all of my own material, and it wasn't coming out until I think September 7th or so of 2018. But I was sitting in my backyard one day and was thinking, well, I don't want to put a band together, but I want to promote this album. And at the time I had been going to a bunch of picker events, which is where you take an acoustic guitar and you go and play with other like-minded people who play. And I had met John Henderson and a bunch of other really great players. And at any rate, I thought, well, maybe I should play back material and some stuff off of this new album and do it acoustically and put an acoustic band together. And so I called up John Henderson and also Scott Simpson, and we had met at Seabrook Tavern, which I guess is now called Specs, in West Topeka. And I'm like, I'd like to do this, but I'm not so sure that it's viable, and I'm not so sure that I know people that can fill these holes. Can you help me out? So John, of course, was on board, and he was going to play mandolin. And Scott Simpson literally is the guy that brought everything except the kitchen sink. I mean, if I needed something, or if the band needed something, or working on stage, Scott was the guy. At any rate, so yeah, they agreed to do this confounded thing, and the first person out of my mouth was Richard Kane, who to me should definitely have a spot in the Kansas Music Hall of Fame. Just an incredibly amazing harmonica player and dobro. The man built a freaking guitar out of a chair. Wrote some really great material. I mean, fantastic. But at the time, I had heard that he was sort of out of the music scene and out of the business. So I'm like, we've got to get Richard. We've got to ask Richard. We contacted Richard, and Richard agreed. And then we picked up Adam Angelini, who I had played with in Backlash, but he had also brought an acoustic or a stand-up bass, which is fantastic. Brought out a whole new side of Adam that I had never seen before while playing with him on stage at a rock and roll band. We picked up Chuck Hurd for drums. I had seen him play in a number of Topeka bands and, rock solid. Just needed a steady beat. That was the man. And Ted Droon, who ended up playing banjo in the band, but was also, proficient on other instruments as well. And then it came to the string part, because I wanted to have strings in the band. And I knew nobody who played cello at all. The only contacts I had were people that said, you should contact so-and-so, and you should see if so-and-so still plays. There was actually a Topeka collective of celloists that were for hire and such, but I didn't want to get deeply involved. I'm not sure how it came about. I think it was through John Henderson, but Jenith Hoover's name popped, and I'm like, she's not going to want to do this. This is going to be beneath her. I can't speak, I can't write music, I can't talk music, but I go by feel, and I'm like, there's got to be a way, common ground, we can work this out. Sure enough, it worked. So she came on board. And I think the last person we picked up was Jim Felsky, who was the only person that auditioned. I have to admit that John had a few reservations about him, because he came off as, this little Yosemite Sam type, short fuse guy, but he's just a jelly roll, man. He's fantastic, and the guy can smoke a violin like crazy. So there was no real good need for him to audition, but we asked him to just to check mark the boxes. So anyway, the band was complete as a 9-piece orchestra with me playing acoustic guitar. And starting in August, we had worked for 7 weeks, 2 days a week, to try to hammer out a stage show. And in the midst of all of that chaos, I had written a song specifically for the band called Dead City Rag. And we were going to perform that live, and that was that. So anyway, it came down to where do we play and what date do we do? And I had always wanted to play the Jayhawk Theater, which was an old abandoned vaudeville movie theater from my grandfather went there in the 20s and such, and played upstairs when they had a tower, when it was actually the hotel, and there was a restaurant, and the band that he was in that played jazz was playing up there. So I'd always wanted to knock that off of my list of playing places. So we got that nailed down, and it was on my anniversary, my wedding anniversary, and it was on September 22nd. So we nailed down the date. Started working on practicing, and now the only money that was made was through CD sales, because I had some CDs manufactured for the show. But we had done a benefit for Toys for Tots, where if you brought a toy, that was admission, or if you brought $5, that was admission, and the cash went to the Jayhawk Theater, and the toys went to Toys for Tots, the Marines Toys for Tots. So we wanted to help raise money to restore the theater. Early on, we had decided that the band should just play for free, and that after this initial show, we were going to just announce, pop-up dates. We're going to play at this park at 11. We're going to play over here at, this swing set at noon. We're going to play at this fountain, at, and do that. So the day came that we were playing the Jayhawk Theater, and we had got Dale Renner to come in and do the filming of the whole thing. He put a camera in the back up in the balcony to capture a wide shot of the stage, and then he was in the audience probably about 20 rows back and sort of panned what was going on as close as he could get there. And then for sound, we had an incredible sound system come in, put on with K&L concert systems, and I had known the guy from working with him in Backlash, and so the sound was donated. And to mic up everything acoustically and push it out into a booming space with, concert style speakers had to have been a little bit daunting. But the idea was to take the camera footage and the flash drives that I had given the sound man to record directly off of the soundboard and put them all together and release that. And when the show was over, for weeks I had tried to get the flash drives, and I was told in the end that they were lost. So fast forward to now, which is 2025, I pulled them out again and looked at them, because they've just been sitting in this dark vault for the last 7 years. The only people that have seen this are myself and Dale Renner. Not even the Dead City Orchestra members have seen it. And after the untimely deaths of Richard Kane and Dale Renner and John Henderson, it was just time to go ahead and put the movie together as best as I could without having the audio that I wanted and release it. And so that's what this is doing. Now, as far as Dead City Orchestra, after that show, we went on and played another dozen until we had finally given up and decided that it was a little bit much to try to get 9 people to schedule the same time off and to also not get paid. So we decided that our last show would be on Halloween. So we literally lasted about 2.5 months, and we knew it was a short shelf life, but we wanted to put together this big 9-piece acoustic orchestra. One of the best shows that we had played was unmiked at the Gage Park Amphitheater, which had this natural sound. It was amazing, and I got to knock that off of my list. In 2019, there was a benefit put on by Sean Ward here in town called Mission Fest, and I got whatever members that were interested together to play to raise money for the Topeka Rescue Mission. So we ended up playing a condensed non-cello version of the Dead City Orchestra with Dennis Dinger on bass, and played a set at the Celtic Fox. And that was the last time that there was a proper Dead City Orchestra rehearsal and gathering, actually. So there you have it. Oh, there's one more thing. We had gotten together in 2019, I think it was in March, and decided that we wanted to go ahead and release a video and a single of Dead City Rag. And so there was a video of that put together, and everybody got together on different days and recorded their tracks, and I mixed it and put that all together. That's included in the show tonight. However, it's a different video, and it's been completely remastered. So anyway, thanks for tuning in. That's the short, maybe extendedly weird version of the Dead City Orchestra story. I hope you enjoy it, and my apologies for the sound, but it's mainly the footage that's pristine that I wanted to share with everybody. So enjoy.